Welcome to the Full Nielsen. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Sata 120P ratchets off of Amazon. I believe that these are an Amazon exclusive. I bought some Gear Wrench 120 XP flex head ratchets years ago. That's these here. And I've really enjoyed them. These are my go-to ratchets. I use them more than anything else I've got. And I was going to buy just their regular ratchets too. Their regular plain Sata 120 gear wrench ratchets. Well, when I looked on Amazon the other day, those weren't on there anymore, and this Sata brand came up. And I thought, Sata 120? And when I looked at the pictures, I thought, boy, that looks a lot like the gear wrench set that I was interested in. So I looked up this Sata brand, and apparently this Sata brand is made by the same company that makes gear wrench. And they are an Amazon exclusive. And I thought, well, it's 60 some odd dollars for the set of 3 of them. I'm going to go ahead and buy them and look at them, and I'll review them and let other people know who might be in the market, what I think of them. These, in my opinion, are identical to the Gear Wrench 120 XPs. There's no difference. Now, I don't know in terms of warranty service and all that how they're going to handle it, and I've looked up some guys that have pulled them apart, which I'm not going to do today on this video, and they showed internally that they are identical to a Gear Wrench 120 XP. In terms of how smooth they are and the function of them, they feel identical to me, to my flex head ratchets in the same sizes. Now, some of these ratchets will come, especially the double or the dual pawl ratchets. I found some of those are not very smooth when you get them out of the box, that there's a fair amount of resistance. And a trick I'll tell you, which if you use your head and do it safely, and I say this because I'll explain to you what the potential danger is. If you'll take a ratchet like this and open up the chuck of your drill, your cordless drill, and chuck the head of this ratchet or even an extension into that drill that's coming off of it and put that into your ratchet and set this to the appropriate direction. Make sure, and this is the important part in order to do this safely, that you set the ratchet on your drill. You can run that in a direction on high speed for 5 minutes or whatever and do it both directions, and it's the equivalent of you doing an awful lot of turning with that ratchet in terms of breaking it in. And then in addition to that, make sure you put some white lithium grease or you lubricate them somehow to make sure that they're going to be smooth. And when I've done that with my other ratchets, any of them that came stiff, now they're just smooth just as smooth as butter. So that really helps to break those in. That's a little tip for you. But as far as these ratchets, the build quality, like the chrome on them looks fantastic. I don't see any problems with any of that other than my fingerprints all over it. In terms of how smooth they are out of the box, pretty smooth. Like I said, I would still do what I did with all my other ratchets to break them in. They appear to be excellent quality. And if I need a fixed ratchet as opposed to a flex head, these are going to be my go-to ratchets, I'm sure, now in the future. Now, for comparison's sake, size-wise, one of the things that I like about the flex head, and I wish that Sata and Gear Wrench made fixed ratchets that were the length of my flex head ratchet. I like that long-handled ratchet. I know some of the more expensive tool companies like Snap-on, I think, makes a really long-handled 3/8 ratchet. And you got to be careful. You got to use your head so you don't break stuff when you have that much leverage. But I really like having the leverage. The advantage with the flex head is if you can't quite get the handle in there in certain positions, you can change it. You can even take this handle like this, stick it on your fastener, and while this thing is in place, you just sit here and do this to get that fastener on real quick, and then you flip it back out to whatever thing. So I use these flex heads a lot because of that. So that might be the reason why they don't use longer handles on their different size ratchets. Look at this 1/2 inch different size. Again, flex head versus non-flex head. I like the extra length, especially when I'm using 1/2 inch drive, because usually 1/2 inch is higher torque, and I need some need to be able to break something loose some of the time. And so I prefer the longer handle. I prefer it on my wrenches. I prefer it on a lot of things. These here are Tecton ratchets that came with some of my sets of Tecton sockets. I have the 3/8 set, the 3/8, the 1/4 inch, and the 1/2 inch set of those. And these are just ones that came with them. I prefer these flex head, and I prefer the Sata 120 type ratchets over this type, but I do like that length. of the Tecton. You can kind of see there lengthwise, that's pretty close for the 3/8, but it was still a little longer. And then I think these are pretty darn close. So it's just a 1/4 inch that's a little shorter, but I generally prefer, you know, like I said, the little bit extra length just gives you a little more leverage. So anyway, these are just here for comparison's sake in terms of the length and stuff like that. Now, as far as people abusing them and hitting them, this is a Nico ratchet that came with, or Nico, or Nico, I don't know how to pronounce it anyway, that came with my impact set. I think about a 1/2 inch impact set from this company, which I really like. Maybe I'll be reviewing some of that in the future as well. But the ratchet this ratchet actually is very smooth. It's not nearly as fine tooth as some of these. I shouldn't say fine tooth because these aren't fine tooth. This is 60 teeth. It's dual pawl, so it gives you the illusion of it being finer, that there's more clicks, but it might just be just as coarse. It might even be more coarse than the teeth in this, because this is probably not a dual pawl ratchet. But anyway, yeah. So Sata 120 ratchets, awesome. Gear Wrench 120 XPs, that's what they are, for 60 some odd dollars for a set of them. If they're a little stiff or whatever, that dual pawl out of the box, make sure you lubricate them well. And like I said, put an extension on there, chuck it into a drill, set the ratchet on the drill, and let it run for 5 minutes. Because if you don't set the ratchet on that drill and somehow this gets bumped while that drill's running, it's going to spin that ratchet around and break your knuckles or your hand or your something. That's why I said that's how you do that safely. Anyway, if you guys have any more questions or comments about the Sata 120 Ps, I believe is what they're advertised as on Amazon, feel free to leave that in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.